The program you're about to watch is underwritten by Allergan. The views expressed therein are solely those of the doctors. We've heard the warnings, we've been told the signs and symptoms over and over. But when it comes to skin cancer, we can never be reminded enough. Just this past week, I was at a party and someone came up to me and showed me a spot on their arm. And that spot was nothing, but as I pulled their sleeve up just a little bit, I noticed something else that was more troublesome. So we get a lot of these curbside consults or people asking us, or even the apps that someone sends in one spot and that spot's nothing, but there's something that is distant to that that's not going to be visualized that could be problematic. So with skin cancer being on the rise, Jeanine, start us off and tell us a little bit about what we need to know, because I know you're a fellow of the Skin Cancer Foundation. So tell us about that and what we should know.
So the Skin Cancer Foundation last year, the statistics for 2019 said that somewhere around 5.2 to 5.3 million new cases of skin cancer were diagnosed in 2019. And that number is still being accumulated right now. So that's heartbreaking. So people need to really check their body once a month and look for asymmetry. They need to look and see if the borders are irregular on the mole, if the color has changed, if it's getting bigger, if the diameter is increasing, or if it's getting very elevated. And they need to speak to a board-certified dermatologist about that, not just their GP. They need to come to us, quite frankly.
I'm sure you see a lot of this in your practice. How do you handle it?
Even though we mostly do cosmetic dermatology, we are all dermatologists, and so the bottom line is people are constantly asking us, take a look at this, do you think this is anything? So it's not their day doesn't go by that I don't biopsy something on somebody, but the issue really is that because the skin is visible, they feel that if their doctor looks at them, their non-dermatologist looks at them, it's visible, they don't have to do an EKG, they don't have to do an ultrasound, that they've been checked. But their eyes aren't trained the way our eyes are trained. So it's really important not to let your GP
And I know
do
you
your
do
check.
a lot of laser work, so you're fixing things that happen from skin cancers, but what do you see when you see somebody for an aesthetic reason? Do you find skin cancers as well? Is your eyes attuned for that?
Yeah, so the legs are the most common area for a melanoma to develop in a woman, and I'm commonly doing sclerotherapy or vein treatments for my patients, and I spot things all the time. And some of the concern for a lot of people is that they don't want to get checked because they don't want a scar from a biopsy. And so the nice thing is that in San Diego recently, actually one of the biotech companies came out with a tape that you can apply onto a pigmented lesion or a mole, and you can just basically send it in and it detects RNA on that tape that might be an indicator as to whether something might have a malignant or cancer. So there's no cutting of the skin.
That's amazing.
And so that's,
once
people should know about that.
Once it's diagnosed with that, because we use that in my office as well, then they will have to have a biopsy.
And they will have to, but I mean, it saves the person that has a lot of moles multiple different cuts, which I completely understand.
So Ava, just give us a quick once over about what we're talking about here with skin cancers. What does skin cancer even mean, and what should people be looking for?
Well, skin cancer, the incidence of skin cancer, if you add up all the other types of cancer together, it still is less than the number of skin cancers that as Americans we experience. So one thing that I really like to tell my patients is that if they notice something new, something growing, something changing, something that it wasn't bothering them before, that they see it, that it's itching or something.
Or bleeding or not healing,
or bleeding or not healing. That's so
Bring it to our
important.
attention.
To come to really have that checked out and not wait.
But
and
two
not
things
wait.
I want to say. One is I really don't like people sending pictures of things. I don't find it reliable.
No.
I think you can be easily tricked. So that's one thing. Don't send a picture. It's such an easy thing to go and have a check. And it's just...
And it gives a false sense of security because there might be something not in the picture that's worrisome that now you won't go in and get checked. So you need your whole body checked once a year.
And
Some things are better felt than actually seen.
And that's
Yes.
and the other thing is, make sure if your dermatologist doesn't take all your clothes off and look between your toes and take your fingernail polish off and look at your scalp, you need a new dermatologist.
Right, and fingernail polish is difficult, and in New Jersey, I tell them all the time, a tanning bed is 12 to 15 times the ultraviolet radiation of the sun. So there is no such thing as a safe tan or a base tan from a tanning bed. That makes me
No
nuts.
matter how many minutes you're in it.
Yeah, exactly. So and so let me tell you my favorite thing is that when people like do what's called a curbside consult, and so I'll be at a dinner party. it's dark, people have had a glass of wine or something, and someone will say to me, can you take a look at this spot? And I'll say, okay, we're going to go into the bathroom, you're going to take off all of your clothes, and we're going to do a complete skin check. And then usually they're like, I said, okay, you're going to make an appointment. If there's anything, yes,
Especially the males.
You gotta be careful.
You're adorable. A man might say yes. You
well,
need to edit
okay,
that.
no, I'm not to the bathroom. But the point is that you can't get a curbside consult, whether it's a photograph on a phone or whether it's a casual encounter. That is not
appropriate.
A skin check.
All right,
Not
so
appropriate.
let's talk about how to prevent skin cancer. So there's melanoma, non-melanoma skin cancers. We know that skin cancer is more common than all the other cancers combined, breast, colon, lung, and prostate cancer combined. But what are we going to do to prevent? Those are ones that are not in our wheelhouse. What do you do to prevent skin cancer?
Well, number one, you need to use your sunscreen, and your sunscreen has to contain DNA repair. It's not just about protection anymore. It's also about preventing and repairing.
So how much skin cancer can you really prevent by wearing sunscreen on a daily basis?
You can significantly prevent more skin cancers from appearing. You can't undo a lot of your damage from the past, but you can continue to improve yourself. And basal cells and squamous cells, as well as melanomas, are what we need to be worried about.
And we know that from Australia, because Australia began a public health campaign because of the high incidence of melanoma. And so anybody who says that, oh, well, sunscreen, it's going to damage me, yada, yada, yada. I mean, the fact is that the Australians did an experiment, essentially.
Right. And we know the results.
And we know the
Right,
results.
and they take HelioCare.
So up to 80% and up of skin cancers are preventable just by sun protection. And also smoking contributes to skin cancer as well. It's directly toxic to the skin. So if you
And so
can,
does
quit
vaping,
smoking.
and so
Vaping is
does
just as
vaping.
bad.
Yeah.
Great. When in doubt, check it out. And make sure to get that full body check at least once a year. My rule is, on your birthday, get your birthday suit checked. What happens when the world's 5 hottest dermatologists get together? Watch The Gist to find out.